Here we are.
Yay.
Woohoo!
December.
Shit.
Well, it's a long December. There's reason to believe maybe this year will be better than the last.
That's a song.
It is. It is.
And no, there isn't.
Either of you, you know it's a song. Can you identify who it is? It's a big band, big in the 90s.
Say the line again.
It's a long December, and there's reason to believe that maybe this year will be better than the last. The chorus
really...
of the song is all na-na-nas. I'll tell you that as well. One of only two songs I can think of that only have na-na-nas as the chorus.
Let's see if somebody in the chat gets it.
Well, somebody will Google it. That's why I worry about somebody cheating.
It's really close to my brain, but it's not there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not getting it.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't. It is not Na 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 by Green Day. Tom. There he goes.
Crows?
Plato gets it. It is Counting Crows, A Long December.
Mm.
And then the other Na 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 I thought of is E-Pro by Beck, which is also a cool tune. Na 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 na.
Hey Jude is mostly nanas.
Yeah, I would say that.
Really.
Yeah.
I was going to scream out the Beatles, but you said the 90s, so I did not.
Okay. Well, we got the music out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm slowly waking up. I think let's do it. Let's do a fucking podcast.
Yeah, let's do a podcast about the Sixers.
Let's do a goddamn podcast.
Mostly. Do a motherfucking podcast. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by Draftkings Sportsbook. Sign up for Draftkings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS and brought to you by Adem Ksebe, the official realtor of the process. 302-864-8643 is his direct cell number. Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of the process. And Kinetic Skateboarding. Get 9.1% off your first order with promo code Dave Silver. On the show today, Jared McCain moves to the bench. The Sixers increase their win total by 33%. We might have another young player who played pretty well last night instead of a 100-year-old veteran. So we have a lot to talk about as well. A former Sixer gets in a fist fight with fans at a basketball game in another country. That's right. There's a new episode of the Draft Council out there talking about their favorite prospects of the 2025 NBA draft. You never know when that could come in handy. That is hosted by Dan Ollinger and Ahmed Jama. Just search the Draft Council wherever you get your podcasts. New episode of the Carl Landry Record Club. This week talking about a band called The Who, but it is H-U, not W-H-O. The Who. They're a Mongolian folk metal band. Pretty interesting. Humphreys McGee and King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. You can get that wherever you get your podcast, the Carl Landry Record Club. Hey, Kinetic Skateboarding. So I mentioned promo code Dave Silver for 9.1% off your first order. And I got this from there because I'm on their email list, which you should get on. And this promo code only lasts for 3 days. But as you are holiday shopping, free shipping at Kinetic right now with code FREESHIP, all one word at checkout. You only get promo codes like that and announcements like that if you are signed up for the Kinetic Skateboarding newsletter, which you should do. So just go to kineticskateboarding.com. When they get new stuff, you get an email. When they have promos like this, you get an email. But also follow them on social, because if you did, you would know that they have in store today the raffle for the Nike SB Dunk Supersonics, which are pretty fucking cool. And they have these raffles all the time, but they're usually in store, and you have to be following them on social. And as I mentioned before, holiday shopping, plenty of time to go to Kinetic Skateboarding, get your loved one a hoodie, maybe a pair of sneaks, maybe a coat, maybe a nice little coat there, maybe a skateboard, maybe a snowboard. I don't know. Go to kineticskateboarding.com. Use code Dave Silver for 9.1% off your first order. But if it's not your first order, use code FREESHIP for free shipping for the next 3 days. And we got an email from Vaughn, and he said his lady, that's how he referred to her, my lady Sherry, it is her birthday, December 2nd. They listen on road trips, Sherry oftentimes, I guess, has road trips alone, listens to WIP and the Ricky exclusively. Can only imagine what's going on in that brain. Maybe it's similar to mine. They discovered the pod a couple years ago, and Vaughn said that Sherry, over the last 2 years, has bought a big Barker, Surfside, which she went to Ohio to go get it because it's not available where they live yet, a Ricky t-shirt, and 2 different Body Bio supplements. Happy birthday, Sherry. I fucking appreciate you a great deal, and so does Vaughn. So happy birthday. Without any further ado, Amos and the Chef.
Larry, sweetie, the man is here. Say the name. I say the name. I say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who is celebrating a massive increase in the Sixers win total this morning. That is Mike Levin.
Hey, that's a nice win.
Professional win. We're so used to these.
They never trailed.
Yep.
It came close for a bit.
They were
Got it down to
underdogs
4.
to the Pistons, by the way, which is a stunning just little fact. Sixers went in 3-14 and underdogs to the Detroit Pistons.
I mean, rightfully so.
Yep.
Helped by the fact that Cade Cunningham did not play.
Yep.
Who is good.
I don't care. One of
but
our
I
good
also
players
don't care.
didn't play. It doesn't fucking matter to me.
Got to win.
Yep.
But yeah, they almost give it back in the second quarter. They come out in the third quarter and really put the game in hand. I thought they moved the ball well. Andre Drummond gets hurt early, and Adem Bona steps in and plays a nice, composed, regular game. Like, was aggressive going for blocks, but not out of control.
Mm-hmm.
Got fouled a couple times. Had almost a post move in there. Looked normal. Didn't try to do too much with it. Maxey had a great game, I thought. Just like blew by guys, got to his shot, moved the ball. Didn't get too tunnel vision-y to my eye. It's good to have Paul George back. He didn't play great, but just good to have him there. The presence, the anti-Paul George people, which I understand.
Because especially if you just go box score watching as well, it can be very unimpressive as a double thing. But go ahead.
It's just how completely above average he is at every single thing on a basketball court. Will just, even if he's not ever the guy that he used to be or that he should be, just his presence on the court when Embiid's also healthy, will just make the team better and more passable. You have to cover him everywhere. He's a threat from everywhere on both ends of the court. He's just a non-liability in every single facet of the game, and that will help them win games. And even though he wasn't great last night, he moved the ball, he drove and kicked, finished okay, just like finished with a plus 30, professional basketball player. Helpful to have. Needed that. But I liked watching a win. I liked watching a good regulation, pretty easy win. I watched it at a bar actually, and asked them to put Sixers Pistons on TV
in Los Angeles,
and they did. And so God bless them.
Well, I thought, and it never did that thing I was expecting when it got down to 5. And look, the way the NBA is now, even if you're up 17 early in the game, it's going to get close at some point. It's almost every game does that. But when it got to 57-52 at half, I was just waiting for the third quarter where we're down 6 with and it went the complete opposite way. I thought the most notable thing to me watching it was I thought they moved the ball considerably better than they have in previous games. And I do think part of that is getting to play together without a ton of lineup disruption lately, and to your point about George, is that he is an easy guy to fit into the lineup and just makes whatever lineup he is a far more professional lineup than it was before. And he didn't play great last night, but I thought he played pretty well, especially early in the game. I thought he moved the ball well for a guy who he's this interesting combination of sees the floor well, makes bad passes sometimes. It drives you crazy because he does move the ball well. The ball doesn't stick to him when it shouldn't. He does seem to see the floor, but he will make bonehead Danny Green-like passes sometimes that you're like, what are you doing there?
Yeah.
But overall, I thought he was really important in the beginning of the game, moving the ball and getting other players shots. And he hit a three that in that beginning run of the game, just sort of like, I don't know. It was him, Oubre, I think maybe it was Max. I forget who the other one hit the three was, but it was like, oh man, okay, this might be a game that we win. I thought Paul George, actually to my eye, was pretty good last night. The thing that made me crazy about Paul George is, does it seem like he almost hurts his knee like 17 times in that game?
Did he come back in after he got rolled up on a little bit?
No, at the end he did not.
Have they said anything yet?
They have not. I searched the words Paul George precautionary and Paul George precaution, and I did not find anything, so they didn't say anything about it, I would guess, after the game. But I think he came out because there was that was in the fourth or the third.
Could you tweet something like Paul George precautionary? Would that help?
Do you want me to tweet it?
I think that would help. Yeah, the idea that they would win this game comfortably and he wouldn't get hurt.
Yeah,
that's all I wanted.
Yeah, well, I don't know for sure, but
yeah,
but again, I thought ball moved particularly well. Didn't not a huge. This isn't going to be a negative thing about this guy. I do think it's notable that Caleb Martin wasn't in there and KJ Martin was, and the ball moved better. Caleb ball tends to stick to Caleb Martin a little bit, and it does not to KJ Martin. And we'll get to KJ Martin and Ricky Council, but KJ Martin we've mentioned, he doesn't do anything particularly well, but he also doesn't do anything bad, and he does make nice little athletic plays, good in transition, good point to point if he doesn't have to dribble the ball more than once. And I think he can be a plus in when you need ball movement compared to Caleb.
Yeah, well, I think I don't disagree that Caleb has been, the ball stuck to him a little bit more this year than you'd like. But I think that's also a result of other personnel that are there, in the sense of like, well, somebody needs to do something. And so it could be me, which he is like somewhat capable of that. But obviously if the role gets too big, then that's not what you want him for. That's not what you're paying him for. I'm not concerned that Caleb is going to be the kind of player when it's Maxey McCain, Caleb, Paul George, Embiid, and Caleb Martin's going to go like, my time. That's right. I think he's a guy that knows like how to fit into something, and I think believes in himself enough to be able to ramp himself up and scale his own game up. But I do agree that is not the most effective use of anything. But I'm not concerned of him going hero mode, basically. No.
I just think I think
Oubre sometimes does.
Yes,
I think he's a smarter player. But I do think Oubre played good last night as well. Moved the ball, got length on defense.
I never think his threes are going in. Never, ever. When they go in, they're such a joy because I never think they're going in.
Is he shooting better in the year yet? Because to my eye, he's been.
I think he's
still bad. But he was in the. That's going up. That thing's coming up. I'm not worried about it. That thing's coming up. I still predict best shooting season of his career.
Well,
right now he's in a bit of a hole.
Yeah,
but
the whole team is.
Eric Gordon's shooting 1% from three.
Yeah.
God, that guy's never made a shot. Holy shit!
I can't believe it.
It's unbelievable.
It is. I keep telling myself when Paul George and Joel Embiid are on the court,
Yeah.
he will hit those shots, and that's what he's there for. But man, they had one in the corner last night that I would have been comfortable shooting. Like, that's how open he was, and he clanked it.
It's real rough, man.
It's a rough watch right now.
I mean, a guy that you've been asking the Sixers to sign forever.
Yes.
And he finally comes here and
can't shoot
what
anymore.
Happens? Forgets how to shoot.
Well,
that's tough.
Should have signed Tyler Johnson instead.
That's tough. We already had Tyler Johnson.
Right.
We did that.
Yes.
That happened.
Yeah. But then he got hurt. It was only a 10-day. He didn't.
That was fine. I thought that was another nice Yabusele game. Just a guy that moves the ball and knows what he's doing. It's just it's so nice.
Yeah.
I didn't love them not starting McCain.
Well, they were short a guard though, so I kind of understood it. So Reggie Jackson got ruled out before the game.
Yep.
So Doughton was out. Lowry was out. Doughton, Lowry, Reggie Jackson. So they only really had 2 guards. So I think it was probably more about making sure that it was easier to stagger those 2 guys. So there was always a pointish guard on the floor because they really didn't have any other guards to play last night, like true guards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I understand that and think that you can do that while also starting McCain, taking him out after 4 or 5 minutes or something like that.
Well, Mr. doesn't care who starts is all.
Well, I think especially for McCain, I usually don't. You're totally right. But I think especially for McCain, who's been so useful this season and has exploded past his projected ceiling so early, I kind of just want to establish that as no matter what happens, this guy is like locked into a starting role in like a tentpole player going forward. He's one of it used to be like a big 3, and because of how good McCain has played, we're adding it into a big 4. Like, it's happening.
He did play a ton of minutes last night, I think.
Yeah, he played 29. I just didn't want it to be. You're right. I usually don't care about it. I don't know why I care about it now, but I think it's establishing the chemistry between him and Maxey, I think, is important, and I think him and them playing off each other is important. They played together plenty, but maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe I shouldn't be upset about it. But I was a little bit like, no, he doesn't deserve a benching here. Let somebody else come off the bench. It didn't bother me. It didn't, like, I wouldn't have been upset if it was Oubre off the bench for 4 minutes and then McCain comes in. But maybe I'm changing. Maybe I'm becoming a different person.
You're becoming starting guy.
Maybe I'm becoming starting guy. Or maybe I'm just like, this is the one good thing that we've had. Why are you sending him away from me?
The Rights Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by Adem Ksebe, the official realtor of the process. You might have noticed on the mic that CJ did not hold up a sign.
CJ.
Does he even have the signs?
I need big poster board like you're in class.
Does he even have the signs? He says yes. I don't believe him, though. He doesn't have the signs. The Rights...
He'll get there.
Yeah. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast brought to you by Adem Ksebe, the official realtor of the process, Ksebe. Now is the time, if you end up renting a shore house for the week or something, now's the time where you start figuring out when it's going to be. Then you go through that annoying process of, finding one, of how much is it this year, how many people want to go, are we going with other people? Now you could do that, or you could just invest in this is if you could afford it, obviously, a property, the Delaware beaches. And if you're going to do something like that, Adem Ksebe, Ksebe, and his team based out of Long and Foster at Bethany Beach, they are your key to the Delaware beaches. You might say to yourself, I've been going to Jersey beaches my whole life, since I was a kid. Well, you should try Delaware. Delaware, especially if you're going to buy way lower property taxes, and depending on what you're looking for, all different great shore towns. Rehoboth, great shore town. Dewey, great shore town. Bethany, as I mentioned. Lewis, great places. And you got a guy like Ksebe and his team who truly run the Delaware beaches. You're going to be able to figure out what place is best for you, and they'll help you bid, have a better chance of getting the house, know about stuff maybe before it's actually even on the market. I'm telling you, if you need a partner in purchasing a home, specifically Delaware or Maryland, Ksebe and his team are who can help you out. 302-864-8643. That is his cell, direct cell, 302-864-8643, or Adam@processrealtor.com. If you're not looking in Delaware or Maryland, maybe it's PA, maybe it's New York, maybe it's New Jersey, he cannot sell or buy the home with you specifically, but what he can do is be your first resource, ask you what you're looking for, go through his big Rolodex of realtors, find the right one for you, and pass that along. So if you need a realtor at all, Adem Ksebe, Ksebe, the official realtor of the process. So Drummond goes out early in the game with what looked like a pretty bad twisted ankle, and yet he couldn't walk off the court under his own power. I think it was Doughton and somebody else helping him off the court. But I thought Bona, you mentioned earlier, Bona was very solid, in the right position. It was nice to see a guy particularly athletic in that spot right now with Drummond and Embiid trading off, and God bless Yabusele, but they're not the most svelte athletic guys. It was nice to see Bona in there. Got a little alley-oop, I think, at one point. And I thought the thing that you mentioned about him going for blocks, but not too much, I think he really only got caught being a little too aggressive once in that second half. But I thought he looked very solid. He's certainly a guy. And Drummond, my guess, is going to miss a little bit of time. I'm okay with Bona after what I saw last night, getting a large portion of those minutes.
Yeah, played 20 minutes last night. I think he looks quick, light on his feet.
Yep,
can elevate. Super long. Aggressive, and again, a guy that knows who he is. And I really like, it's tough. Usually the guys who knows who they are, it's really like guys who can't shoot is really, really kind of the guys who can't shoot or don't shoot too much.
Yep.
He's that, KJ Martin is that, and it limits your floor spreading ability. But if they are active enough, whether on the offensive glass or on cuts or whatever, KJ had a really nice tip dunk on the weak side, which was great. Then you can overcome some of that, especially against not great teams. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm interested to see how long Drummond is out. I do think he's been a little bit better lately in limited minutes, but yeah, I mean they're depleted. I wouldn't be surprised. I guess if it was 10-day season, which it's not yet, then they would sign a 10-day big to just get in the way of whoever's there.
We've had this bonus of these extra Jared McCain minutes that we discovered he was more capable than we thought. And maybe, this happening with Drummond, maybe we get to see more of Bona we will see more of Bona than we would have seen before.
He's just like a guy that makes sense as a modern backup center. Just like rolls hard, really light on his feet, can defend the pick and roll, can come up, can switch. And it just plays with a motor that you really kind of love to see. And a big the kind of big that they haven't had since like 2016, of just like young guy with fresh legs throwing himself into.
Well, that's Paul Reed.
Well, Bona's more athletic than
Sure.
But we should talk about B-Ball, who had a nice little game last night.
Yes.
Finished. Sixers win. B-Ball finishes with a +7, and Tobias finishes with a 1 of 8.
It's nice Tobias game. Nice Tobias game.
That's as good as you're going to get. That's a parlay that I could have taken and would have loved to get.
Also, another reason you got to win games like that, and it's what made the Houston loss really annoying, is that Detroit was played in Indiana, I think, the night before. They actually got Houston on the second night of a back-to-back when they were rested too, and they weren't. You go to an overtime in a game that played a tough game last night. You got to win that, but those Detroit not that good. I mean, much better than the Sixers so far this year, but the second night of a back-to-back, you got to win that game when you're not.
Yeah, and it was cool to see Paul play well. I love seeing Paul play well. He's doing all right. Tobias really was quite bad, and I like shouting out the players I like on the teams. And obviously, I love Amen Thompson. I like Asar Thompson less. I think Amen is a more special player, but I do like Asar as well. And Marcus Sasser, who's just the man. My kind of if he was on the process Sixers, Marcus Sasser as a point guard, as like the Larry Drew, like type of, oh my God, this guy knows what he's doing type of player. I think he also could have a TJ style career, Sasser, of just like hitting shots and playing his ass off and defending and being a professional.
How many Sixers point guards were we like, oh my God, this guy can play point guard?
Yeah.
Did we see after MCW? Yeah, what's it? Casper Ware was a guy.
Yeah.
Ish Smith is of course the most famous guy. He's the prototype. But
Yeah.
man, there were a lot of them.
Yeah, it was quite a run. We had more fun back then.
And
KJ,
excellent game from KJ Martin.
just great, man.
Yeah.
I love a bunch of blocks.
Yep.
Some impressive blocks. He's not only athletic, he's got such a big frame. He really has his dad's frame, but just more wingy.
Yeah, I was going to
And-
say he's more svelte than his dad.
But he's so wide. Just like sort of scrunch him down 3 inches or whatever, however smaller he is than Kenyon was. But he hits a corner 3. That's huge. He's just got to be able to do that. and they were happy with his improvement. I remember this quote or something at sometime media day or something that they believe in KJ's shot improvement. And okay, it looks better than
Somebody's
it
got to.
had looked. Somebody's got to get better at something. It has to happen. Yeah, I mean, KJ in limited free throw attempts is also 83% from the line, which is well higher than his career high or career percentages. He's 19 of 23 from the line. He's 3 of 7 from deep. I mean, it's not great, but keep getting better. Let's see what happens. He's been good this season. And for a team that hasn't been, we've been really just talking about McCain and Yabusele, but KJ in his little role has been good. And I like that he's gotten the freedom to sort of, hey, if you get the ball in transition or semi-transition and you see like only one guy back, you can get that guy.
Yeah.
He's physical enough to be able to score. He's got a nice little touch around the rim, like 4 feet and in kind of thing, a little floater. He was great last night. I really loved watching it.
And then the last thing from the game, which is currently, I think, one of the most confounding Sixer runs, 2-game runs of my life, is Ricky Council.
Ricky Council,
who ends up being effective,
yeah,
doing things I constantly wish he would not do.
That's right.
He has so much B-ball Paul energy.
So much
B-ball Paul energy. Now he is a really good rebounder from an effort standpoint, and he's bigger than you think. Like he's a big guy out there, and he is athletic, and he is reckless in a good way from a rebounding perspective.
Yeah.
Every time he takes the ball on a break and it goes in, I am stunned.
Yeah.
And he loves a 3-pointer that he should not shoot.
He's always so far back. Does he know that you don't get more points by being further back? You just got to be past that one line, pal.
Yeah.
But he loves it. His feet are never square.
Nope.
His hands are always weird. But he gets the line. He hits a couple.
I'm not crazy, right? I mean,
No.
okay, all right.
It's been weird. I would look.
It must drive Nick Nurse fucking crazy with him on the floor.
I think he's looking at the rotation. If there's something in his office with all the players and he decides the rotation, maybe there's magnets with the players on them and he just slides them around. Before the game, he's like, yeah, I guess I'm playing Ricky. I guess Ricky's in. Yeah, fine, sure, great, whatever. I would say after this run that they should trade Ricky immediately. But I think Maxey is good enough and has endured enough that you just can't trade his friends. You just can't trade Maxey's friends.
Are they friends? Are they? Oh yeah, they went on the trip together.
Took him on vacation. The picture
socks
of
on the boat. Yeah.
You can't trade Maxey's friends. So Daryl, don't. The kid is having to. He's having to be the adult at 24, and you just don't trade his friends.
Well, something tells me there's not some enormous market for Ricky Council.
No, but if there was a not this guy, I've done no research, but if whatever one step down from Walker Kessler is,
okay,
where you could go okay, we need a big that just protects the rim. This guy's buried on someone else's depth chart. We'll trade him for Ricky because we need a center right now, that kind of thing. I don't think they should do that. I wouldn't do that. Maxey it feels like he's had to be it feels like Maxey is with a contract, with just how much he had to take on last year and obviously this year as well, and how they had to delay the contract for a year so they could possibly sign Paul George, whatever. They gave him the whole show, whatever, but it feels a little bit like they kind of treat him like, well, you're not unreasonable. So like,
right. Yeah, we can get away with this.
We can get away with it because you get it. You're smart. You're a good kid. Like you understand what we're trying to do, but like, he should be able to be like, he's good enough where he's like, hey, don't trade my fucking friends. Like I need this guy. So I hope Ricky stays.
And then final thing from Detroit, we got we haven't played any Jared McCain TikToks really. TikTok's weird. Mike, do you use TikTok? I use TikTok a lot, but
I don't.
Okay. So the weird thing about TikTok
I can't do another app.
Oh, well, TikTok's the only one that doesn't give me any anxiety. I just sort of enjoy it. And I guess I might be being brainwashed by China or something, but I actually don't mind. I get a nice little half hour every evening watching it. But the amazing
it's just
thing
another
about
thing to check.
Yes. Well, that's the crazy.
They spill over to Instagram when I need it.
The good stuff. Yes, it absolutely does. Or somebody will post it on Twitter or something. Right.
I'm not saying I'm doing anything right or there's no value. I
don't have time for it.
I can't do another one.
Yeah. Well, the wild thing about TikTok is it doesn't actually matter who you follow, in that I think it's part of why it works so well is it actually knows you better than you're trying to tell it what you want. So I follow Jared McCain, but I don't really get any of his TikToks in my feed. So I saw that. So I'm not avoiding Jared McCain TikToks. I just don't get them. But I saw this one on Twitter yesterday. Jared McCain in Detroit enjoying the snow. So it's a nice little. I would never play this after a loss, but after a win, it feels nice.
Hello, everyone. I'm in Detroit, Michigan. We play the Pistons tomorrow, and it's snowing. I'm from California. It doesn't really snow that much. It didn't snow when I was at Duke last year. Actually, at least I don't think so. But I'm going for a walk in the snow. It's the holiday season. I got my hot chocolate. And I'm just grateful. I'm simply grateful. It's such good vibes. It's cold, but like I got snow. I'm about to go back, watch a little Christmas movie. And just enjoy life. So just another reminder. Here and there, I like to give you guys some reminders to just enjoy life. Enjoy the little things.
You know, honestly, I want the Sixers season to be okay because I really don't want this kid to have to be broken by a bad Philadelphia sports season. You know?
Oh, man.
Give him another year or two of this sort of wholesome life.
Yeah.
You know?
It's, what a sweet kid.
Yes.
That, the levels of sweetness, make my skin crawl.
Oh, yeah. It's awful.
A little bit. I'm so happy that he is as content with himself and the world and is fully actualized in the ways that he wants to be and is very mature. But that kind of front facing video, and I know I say this on a podcast, it makes me totally cringe to the max. But I have nothing bad to say about Jared McCain. He's excellent, and he's a professional already, and he's confident in himself. It's just that's not me.
No, it's not you.
I'm not mature enough to say on camera, just treasure the little things or whatever. I am not.
The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented. You see, Mike? Look, you see at the bottom there? You see what you see? Yeah.
Siege.
The Rights
Hold it up for the fans. Hold it up for the fans.
Yeah, let everyone see it. There it is. There it is. That means talk about Anthony Davis.
That's right.
The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of the process. Look, we're in slip and fall, time. It's 30 degrees outside. We're going to start seeing some, icy sidewalks and shit.
Yeah.
That's
Jared McCain could have slipped and fall doing
Could
his job
have.
of TikTok.
Could have. And if he did, if it was somebody's fault, you call Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of the process, the premier, only boutique personal injury law firm in the Delaware Valley. What I'm telling you is that you see these other ones advertised, and they are not person-to-person service. In fact, most of the time when you see the person advertised or hear about the person advertised, they're not even the person you're going to deal with, because that law firm is just farming out referrals to other law firms. When you call Kornblau and Kornblau, you're going to talk to Adam. He is a person who has been doing this for decades now and is excellent and passionate about these sorts of things. If you've been injured in any way, slip and fall, injured at work, car accident, medical malpractice where they are specialists in, Kornblau and Kornblau has to be your first call. If it's not your first call, it can be your second call. I don't care. The law firm's been there for 4 decades now, and they have a name in the Delaware Valley that means something. They have offices all over the place. You don't have to go to one of them. He can come to you. That's right. Going to do house calls. And having been through a personal injury lawsuit years ago, when my wife and I were rear-ended by a drunk driver, I did not know Kornblau at the time, but I wish I would have, because the entire process of it is very annoying and stressful, makes you not want to do it. But having a person who's going to keep you informed, keep you educated, and do a great job for you, that's what you get with Kornblau. So if you think you might have a case, I want you to give them a call or shoot them an email. It doesn't cost you anything. Nothing. Zero. Zilch. Not 1 cent. 215-576-7200. Ask for Adam, or email Kornblau, Kornblau, Kornblau at kornblauandkornblau.com. The and is spelled out in there. Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of the process. So, and we didn't mention Joel Embiid misses the game due to knee maintenance and personal reasons.
I didn't like seeing that.
Well, the speculation is that his wife is very pregnant with their second child.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was announced in September that she was pregnant, and I don't know this for sure, but there are people that are speculating that is why personal reasons was on there, because that could have happened. And I think the Sixers are playing ultra safe and almost annoyingly safe with their declarations on Joel, given their $100,000 fine. It did seem like when I first saw it, I was like, are you serious? You couldn't just put knee maintenance. You had to cause a fight with personal reasons, but I think that's what's going on. That is my gut. So
I think they got two days off.
Yeah.
And then a back-to-back at Hornets, home against the Magic.
Yeah.
I would like Paul George to play in one of those and Joel to play in the other, and I would like to win both.
You don't want them both to play in one. That way it gives you a better chance of winning the one and gets you more minutes with them together.
I think right now you just need to win games.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they have a better chance at winning both of. They need to sell out for wins at this point.
Okay.
They are, however, now only 3 games back of the play-in spot, which is crazy.
Yeah.
At 4-14, 2-2 in their last 4.
Whoa! Woo! Break them up.
Look out.
Hey yo.
I would prefer to just get them to get one in each. I understand you want them to play together, but like, there's value in both. But let's try to win both games. They're in a sort of, the Magic are very good. My Magic, very good. But Pistons last night, then Hornets 2 against the Magic, Bulls.
Gotta get some wins.
And then into the stretch of teams that don't, the stretch of like a week and a half or 2 that
we don't know yet.
We don't know yet because of the play-in tournament that the Sixers, or the in-season tournament that the Sixers will not.
You mean the Emirates NBA Cup?
Emirates NBA Cup, which does not matter, which we've always been consistent
never mattered.
about that.
What is he barking?
And then they got the Hornets afterwards. So like they need to start getting. They need to fucking. Can you just win a couple goddamn games? So
At some point. What about a win streak, Mike? What about 2 in a row?
Yeah, I mean, like I guess to me it's like, if there's not a long stretch of games that Embiid and Paul George are not playing together in, then they're not going to do anything this season. So having like one game in there where you're like, we got them both, and here's the chemistry being built right now, this one game, I don't think that matters. I think the thing that will matter is like, you got to win games and start to bank those.
These fucking dogs. Well, I don't know. Did you see this Montrezl Harrell thing?
No, I saw it in
Okay.
the rundown.
So we got an email from Blake. Hi, Spike, Mike, and CJ. I might have missed you guys talk about it, but are you aware that Trez has been suspended from the NBL, the Adelaide 36ers, for trying to fight fans? He had to be held back. Shit was hilarious. Is this kind of hustle, and is this the kind of hustle and aggressiveness we need on the Sixers? I think if we bring back Trez, give him a ladder, and he can just fight opposing stadium fans. Good veteran presence for Jared McCain. A McCain Trez TikTok dance video is not what I had on my bingo card, but I'm always open to new things. So he was suspended 3 games and $3,600 for his role in multiple on and off court offenses during the Adelaide 36ers November 17th game against Melbourne United, an NBL single member tribunal found Monday afternoon. So here is, and there's another player who's the other, Kendrick Davis, also suspended. So here is the footage of the fight with the fans.
He's chirping. He's looking.
Oh.
The fan started it, I think. That seems like a bad idea. Front row fan, like shoving somebody?
Did it? It was hard to see.
2 guys, one of them's in a, just
Oh.
2 random guys? 2 like supremely manicured men? Beard. That guy's beard has been.
I guess there was another fight. It said early in the 4th quarter of the game, Harrell was called for a charge on United's Rob Lowe, L-O-E,
Wow.
with both bigs ending up on the ground. While on the floor, Harrell pushed Lowe, leading to a melee that involved most players. United guard Shea Ely was the first to enter the scuffle and push Harrell before the 36ers big man appeared to throw a closed fist punch toward the United guard's face. Harrell then threw multiple open hand strikes toward United players amid the scuffle, and then there was this fight with the fans afterwards. So,
Man.
not a great moment.
I do think, we're just watching this part of it, but those fans were trying to get into it, and they're sitting front row, and they look like one of them looks like they got a haircut right before the game.
Well, it's hard to see who.
There's
did
something
what
so
first.
silly about a man that just got a haircut. I got one yesterday, so I feel silly. Just just got a haircut, and now I'm going to do an event. It's like
Because everybody knows that you just got a
yeah,
haircut.
it's like, oh, you care about this
Yeah, and and it looks like you got the haircut for that
the
event.
thing, yeah.
Yeah.
I got a haircut to go watch Sixers Pistons at a bar in Los Angeles.
So
Also, the emailer, we got to retire the phrase "not on my bingo card." That's got to go. It's got to go forever. No one's had a bingo card in 75 years. You got to retire it. It's gone.
Yeah.
It's out. It's out
What
of
are you
commission.
replacing it with?
You can't use it anymore. Anything else? Other words. We don't need another expression.
Do you have a replacement phrase?
I'll think about it. Replacement
Okay,
phrase.
all right.
I didn't come prepared for a repeal and replace of bingo card, but I'll think about it.
I'm fine with it. I'm not fighting for bingo card, but I understand the idea
just
behind not on my
We
bingo.
can't be doing it anymore.
All right.
We got to move on from as a society. I found something that I sent to CJ.
Okay.
And it's just a nice little stat fact from Tom Haberstroh. It's about Tari Eason, who's a great bench wing on the Rockets.
Okay.
And he really should be a process Sixer. It's such a bummer that he was not, because he plays like a maniac, and
we make that
gets
bigger?
the most steals and blocks of maybe anyone in the league.
Ah.
The first guy right now in league history to have above 4% on both steals and block rates. Matisse was the closest at 3.9, 4.9.
Okay.
Also on the list, former Sixers Nerlens Noel and B-Ball Paul.
Ah, so Terry Eason definitely fits in there. Yep.
Yeah. So Tari Eason, Matisse Thybulle, Nerlens, B-Ball Paul. Also on the list, top 50 players of all time, Hakeem Olajuwon and David Robinson. And then Gerald Wallace, who's also the man. Bummer that he never played for the Sixers. As well as
We didn't
Tractor
trade
Trailer.
for him at some point.
Tractor Trailer, rest in peace. What'd you say?
Didn't we trade for Gerald? Wait, who am I thinking of?
You're thinking of Danny Granger
No,
or
Gerald-
Andrei Kirilenko.
I thought we had.
Gerald Wallace never played For
Never
the Sixers.
played for us, but was he involved in a trade that we were involved in at some point? No?
It's also ringing somewhat of a bell, but he never played for the Sixers.
Because
But I
he
feel like
was
I would have talked more about maybe it happened pre-process, and he never played. Did he retire? Did he end his career on the Sixers in a sort of?
Yes, he
Yeah.
was on the Sixers in 2015.
Yeah.
So
Why don't we
knew
talk
it.
about him in the Danny Granger?
I don't know.
Kirilenko way.
The Sixers.
What a mistake
Yeah.
in the Jason Thompson trade, who was part of the pick swap trade. Well, that's an error on my part. I should have been more on top of that at the time. What were we doing?
Rebel, shut the fuck up, man. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry.
But anyway, I just love Tataris and what a fun list that was of three, at least 3 percentage steals and 4 block rate. Just a beautiful list of former Sixers and
Tari
Hall
Eason.
of Famers.
And Hall of Famers. Let's do a little relationship advice. Feel like we haven't done this in a while. Oh, come on. Yeah. There we go. I don't know what's going on with this version of the relationship advice theme. Something fucking wrong with it. You hear that? There's like extra fucking drums in it or something. That's weird. Any case, the song is by Eliza Hardy Jones
Yes.
of the War on Drugs and the Ricky.
We're doing relationship advice. We're feeling glowing and positive after a
Yes.
win.
And it's not that deep, the relationship advice. I thought it was an interesting question. This is from Tommy. Hi, Spike, Mike, and CJ. I've been wanting to write this in for a while, and the Sixers sucking pre-Miami game. I figure this is a good time to ask. For context, I sincerely am happily married. LL ring 254.
Wow.
He is. If someone were to ask you if your wife or CJ's girlfriend was your best friend, would you say yes? To me and most of my family, we view our respective partners as entirely different category than friends, whereas my wife says I am hers. My issue isn't my loving my wife, it's more that I view relationship as its entirely own thing. And while a friendship is obviously a piece of that, I don't think of them as the same category. This isn't a fight we have, but it's a debate every time it comes up. So I'm curious to your thoughts.
I'm a yes. I do consider my wife my best friend. I understand why, if you'd want to separate that, but I think also maybe having a best friend as an adult is that you would designate as
Your best friend.
as your best friend. Maybe a little weird. Yeah, or do what you want. I don't give a shit. But I wouldn't. So I'm happy to be wife best friend guy. And she is. Alyssa is. Absolutely.
So I would not answer that, but I also wouldn't have an answer. I guess my answer would be my brother. I'm, again, 48-year-old.
But in the same way, that's already a role.
Yes, brother.
In the same way that wife is already a role.
Yeah, I think if you were to look at the reality of what a best friend is, of course my wife is the most. I share the most with her, just most support, talk to her the most, all of those things. But if somebody said, who's your best friend? I would probably be more likely to say, I don't think I really have one.
No, I know what you would say.
What?
You'd say your dog.
Oh, well, that's cheating more than anything. It's the truth, but it's also cheating.
Yeah, I think definitely. I think there can be. Oh, CJ's hitting us with another ad. Last thing, while I'm hot, while it's good. I think you could. I think there are certainly solid marriages where that's not as much of a best friend thing, but
Yeah.
and that's fine, and that's cool for you guys. But my friggin' wife's my best friend. That's what it is.
Also, do you think, not to get too deep into your relationship, you two doing a similar job,
Yeah.
I think probably puts that more in that perspective because, yeah, and anyway, I'm sure it has something to do with that.
No, I think it's totally fair. The
Yeah.
fact that both Alyssa and I are television comedy writers makes that, for sure, easier to share things with her and stuff. The fact that you and Rebel do the same job, does that, do you think? Do you think that? I mean, he's on the podcast. He's barking his head off.
Dude, they're both. So Rebel barks while Scotchy howls. So Rebel, if you listen closely, you can hear him barking while she goes, ooh, like that. It's fucking super annoying. I love them both to death. Yeah. And Rebel, that's my best friend. All right. Writes Ricky Sanchez podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Emma Mike, we haven't talked about the Birds at all. Winners of 7 in a row.
Oh my God, dude. I didn't believe earlier in the season, and
are you there?
I'm hesitant to ruin the vibes to jump on board now.
So Eagles 3-point dogs
looks
today.
Really good.
3-point dogs today. What do you think against the Ravens?
I mean, the Eagles corners are just so good. The secondary got
Slay's out
so fast.
Slay's out. Concussion.
Yep. I'm interested to see how Zach Bond does against Lamar and N'Kobe. I'm bummed that Brandon Graham's out for the year. He's got to come back for another one.
Yeah, so I do a show with him every week, and he does seem like he is open to it, but wants to see what the rehab for the torn tricep is like. I guess he was going to go to this game and then get the surgery, and then you can't even do any rehab for the first 6 weeks. But I think he would. I don't think he wanted to go out. He was playing so great, man.
He's still good.
At 36.
He's still really good. I was at Eagles Rams. And they just looked. I mean, Saquon's incredible. They got to the quarterback. They're flying around. It was sick. It was awesome.
So Eagles +3. What do you?
I think I'm taking the Eagles.
Wow.
And if they lose, it's my fault.
That's the end. That's the end.
If they lose, it's my fault.
Of course, speaking of DraftKings, the Emirates NBA Cup, which we don't give a shit about.
No, I would only do it as a lark.
Yep. But it's still going on, and the best way to even care about this dumb fucking thing is to bet on it. So during the games, you can always do your props on DraftKings Sportsbook. Right now, as far as the futures for NBA Cup, the Knicks are the favorites at +450. The Lakers eliminated, so they can't go back-to-back. Rockets are +500. Thunder +550. I'm trying to think if I might like the Bucks is a little bit of a long shot at +750.
It is annoying that the Bucks have been winning games lately.
Yes.
I was really more preferring them losing quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, if it's your first time with DraftKings, this is for you and you alone. If you're a new DraftKings customer, bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Score big with DraftKings Sportsbook. Every point counts. I'm telling you, just bet props on the NBA Cup. Don't care about it as a person. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code RTRS. That is code RTRS. New customers get $150 in bonus bets when your bet wins. When you bet just $5 only at DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Got to be 21. See show notes for details. This is actually, I think, sort of, prescient right now, given that it is a weekend morning pod. This is the hard to stomach YouTube comment of the week. Came from Mo's Thumble 5. Is Mike always this high on Saturday pods, or is this just the first time I'm noticing? We've gotten a few different comments saying that you seem high on the weekend morning pods. This is your chance to
admit to it,
or get rid of those rumors. What do you think, Mike?
It's just early.
Yes.
I live in Los Angeles.
Yep.
And it's 7 a.m. when we start this thing, and I'm sleepy. I've actually never been high for a podcast. I've been drunk for a podcast because we drank during pod.
Yeah.
And I've had
painkillers,
a muscle relaxer on the
Yes.
podcast because I got injured during a basketball game.
Yes.
But I've never been high in the traditional sense on the podcast. So I'm sorry. I am sorry to say that. We could try it, but we'd have to delete the footage if I say anything stupid. Well,
I'm happy to do that. I'm just much dumber with weed. I'm not going to be funny. I'll just be way, way worse. I'm happy to try it. Especially if the season gets worse, we're going to have to fill these podcasts somehow.
We'll leave it open if the season gets worse.
Yeah.
But no, I've never been high for the pod.
This came from, he actually didn't sign his name. His first initial was B, writes RickySanchez@gmail.com. A stat I have yet to see anywhere else. Paul George podcasts since signing with the Sixers, 15. Paul George games played since signing with the Sixers, including preseason, 11. Can we get DraftKings odds on what ends up higher? Non-basketball question. Can you please offer some advice for discussing this year's Sixers with relatives during the holidays? I can only imagine the number of uncles repeating that the process didn't work.
That's brutal. Yeah, we should have gotten this before Thanksgiving. But,
Yes.
The way I attack those things with
I bet we have
uncle
a
or
similar
uncle
one.
types around
Yep.
is don't
Yes.
do it. Don't engage. Just be like, have like a walk-off line. I'm pretty good at a walk-off line.
Yep.
Where someone says something and I go like, well, that's the way it's gonna go, and then you just like walk. You're walking away as you're saying it. You're like, and you're going to the fridge, you're going to the bathroom, or you're going outside to scream, whatever it is. You got to find a somewhat of a walk-off line that allows you to feel like, and like, that's the end of that scene. Don't follow me out here. I am out of it. That's what you need.
Yeah, I handle it sort of the same way I handle not wanting to talk about politics at family functions. And mine is when somebody brings it up to me, I just go, ha, yeah. And I just like shake my head. And they like, it's so difficult to follow that up. Sometimes I'll get one follow-up, and Thanksgiving, I think I got 2 follow-ups on a Sixers thing when I just didn't want to do it. But I think you just have to, without being a dick, show that you're just not interested in the conversation. And that's what I try to do.
I feel like the kinds of people who want to, the process was wrong you at
so I'm not talking
family
about
function.
that specifically. I don't really even have that anymore, except for my father. But anyway, continue.
I feel like those kinds of people that are anti-process are also anti, I'm reading social cues to tell that you don't want to talk about this.
That's
I feel like
fair.
there's a
or
big
just don't
overlap.
care.
Or don't care.
Right.
I think there's quite a lot of overlap there.
Hmm.
Speaking of separate thing, but one of my best friends from college, who was my roommate for years, not, like kind of a basketball guy, not really, more like anime video games type, but has been one of my best friends for a long time. DM me being like, okay, my algorithm's been feeding me basketball stuff. I'm ready to get into it. I'm ready to like hear your take. What's your take about like the Paul George and Embiid stuff? And I'm like, Corey, listen to the podcast. I've been doing it since we've been there. You got a lot to catch up on. I'm not giving you the separate podcast over text.
Well,
not happening.
And that's the other thing with, I feel like such a dick now because sports are, for people who rarely see each other, a good, like, easy conversation to just talk about sports. But I talk about sports now 4 hours a day on the radio and then the podcast. And I feel like an asshole saying this, but when somebody asks me what I think about something, I say it's public knowledge. Like you can hear what I think about it. I know you just want to have a normal conversation and I'm the one being the asshole. I want to say I know I'm the one being the asshole.
Yeah.
But I just don't want to do, my thoughts on the Sixers are so clear.
Yeah, you can't do it anymore.
I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I think that's okay to say as long as you admit it. I think it's okay to
say that.
I think it's reasonable.
Yes.
It's like it's like this is gonna sound stupid. This is gonna sound stupid. But if you're a like a dermatologist or a doctor or something, and people are constantly coming up to you being like, "Hey, can you look at this? Can you look at this like wart or mole or something? Does this look bad to you?" Like a little bit, and you're like, "I can't do it anymore."
Yeah, I look at warts and moles all week long.
I'm doing it all the time.
Yep.
We're basically doctors of the Sixers. Dr. Sixers. So let us live. Let us fucking live.
2 voicemails that I thought were good questions to 833 Lickface. This first one specifically.
Hey, Spike, Mike, CJ, Daryl. So I was calling because I was thinking about all the other people that we had all thought about trading for last season. Alex Caruso was on the table, and then a few other people that we daydreamed about giving up all the stuff for. And I looked at Alex Caruso's stats because I was particularly interested in him. And if you look at his stats, besides games played, he's actually way worse than Paul George has been, which I found very shocking. And I haven't really looked at any of the other people that we had kind of pined for. But I was wondering, is there somebody that you're looking back at and just like seeing them this season and just like, oh, we could have had them instead of PG? And, you know, maybe just the fact that the player doesn't have a podcast, like that's a great stat, honestly, in my opinion. How many podcasts have they had this season? And if it's 0, I think that's a really good stat to have. So, non-basketball question. What's your favorite movie you saw this year? Which movie do you think should win it all at the Oscars? I just riffed that question. Anyways, take care. Bye.
So the players I could think of that we talked about last year were Caruso. We talked about Pascal Siakam to a certain extent. Talked about Lauri Markkanen, who never got traded. And I can't really think of anybody. DeMar DeRozan, I think we had talked about. Caruso's shooting 20% from 3, playing 19 minutes a game right now. Kind of, I think always probably a little became underrated all the way to overrated. It sort of seemed like Alex Caruso became. I don't know. I don't think Pascal Siakam would have fit. He probably would have been a good floor raiser for when Embiid is out, I think, more than Paul George. But as far as fitting with Embiid, I don't think so. So I don't think so. You?
No, nobody that I'm dying for. I mean, Caruso and Paul George are such different players, and he's not hitting shots right now. But he was injured for a little bit, and I mean, he's just such a good player, like a good, helpful player to have, not any kind of cornerstone that you will look to on the offensive end, but like the kind of player that when you have them on your team, kind of like a PJ Tucker or like a TJ McConnell, like just having the opponent's having a guy on the other side where you're like, oh fuck. Like it's just kind of good to have that.
Yeah.
And he plays his ass off and he gets the extra 50-50 balls. And I think he his energy and effort level and intelligence on the defensive end and willingness to move offensively will just like make the team better. OKC didn't really need him because they had a couple guys like that. I mean, Cason Wallace is a similar type of player who is also awesome. But I think he's gonna be helpful there, especially in the playoffs and those, even if he plays limited minutes. But I don't think that he would be any sort of savior here. DeRozan is good and is still good, but has the issues that everybody knows about as far as what his offensive role is, and the Kings are not exactly blowing the doors off anybody. Siakam's fine, but also the Pacers have not been good this year, which is weird. If that's the frustrating thing is if you could do it all over again, like I would do the things that they did. I would hope that Embiid and Paul George are healthier and played more games, but they're just not. They haven't been yet, and so it looks really bad. And you wish that they had won a couple more of those games without them than they have. I mean, they're 4-14. If they were like, even if they were 6-12, that would be like, okay, bad stretch, but not like. I think if they were 6-12, people would not have been running Tankathon as much as they had been. Like the fact that they really had not won many games. It's really
3-14. They still haven't,
Mike. Really quite bad. But yeah, I think the podcast point is interesting. I do think, like, as far as podcast goes, the best ability is not doing one when you're an NBA player until you retire, please. But I would still do what they've done again and hope that it works. And it hasn't yet, but I don't think there was some other like magical solution. And maybe that makes me too committed to my priors, but I think I still would.
Yeah, I think the only thing that has a the thing that has the biggest chance of making them look the worst is the Embiid extension. I think, I'm not saying it for sure, but I'm saying that has the chance to look, if this doesn't get better from a health perspective, it has a chance to look horrible, So we'll see what happens, but that has a chance to look bad.
Yeah. I mean, I would have not waived Isaiah Joe.
Yeah, that would have helped too.
I think that would have been nice. There's a couple other second-round picks I wish they had acquired and lived with. I mean, there's those kinds of things, but, the team is... You want Lowry and Eric Gordon to be better, and if they're not, you don't have to play them. They have wing depth. They have guys that can shoot. They have a backup center in Drummond who is going to be fine for 12 minutes a game, and Bona when he's not.
The two best players have to play.
The two best players have to play.
Yeah.
That's really just kind of what it boils down to. I wish they won more games, but they haven't. So.
Best movie you've seen this year? That was the non-basketball question.
Best movie of 2024 for me so far. I have a lot to see, although I just saw Blitz in theaters a couple days ago, which I thought was uneven. I really like Steve McQueen as a filmmaker, but I thought it was...
Never heard of Blitz.
Blitz is it's Saoirse Ronan, and it's set during the Blitzkrieg in World War II in Britain. But it was uneven, I thought. My favorite movie of the year is Challengers so far. I still got more to see, but I loved it.
It's the tennis one?
The tennis one. It's so fucking fun, and it's funny, and it's intense, and it's wonderfully shot, and I really love it so far. So nothing else has blown me away.
I love Strange Darling. That was my favorite one. It is people say it's horror. It's not really. I think it's like horror adjacent. And did... I want to see. Oh, and I saw The TV Glow is probably my other favorite one of the year of 2024. I saw The TV Glow also categorized as horror, but not really horror. Like sort of, I would say, emo psychosis in some way. I mean, like very, very, very particular movie that I liked, and Strange Darling I really enjoyed as well. So
we'll also say that if you're into this sort of thing, there's a show on Hulu. I think it's a limited series. About the Troubles in Ireland, Northern Ireland. It's called Say Nothing, and I'm halfway through it, and it's awesome. It's really well made, so I recommend that. Say Nothing.
We'll keep the other one. It's a Nick Nurse question. I don't feel like doing it. We'll get to it next time. I'm sure people will still be pissed off at Nick Nurse. At some other point, we can do it. All right, well, that's it.
4 wins. 3 games out of the play-in.
And by the way, as an addendum to all that, and we talked about this a little bit on the last pod, the people who are like, let's just tank or whatever. There's nothing they can do right now to just tank. The league will not allow them to just not play Paul George at this point if he's healthy, and Embiid, like, that's not like a real option right now. And they're 4-14 without tanking. So like, they have to see how the next month or two goes before they decide on any of that stuff.
Movie pitch.
Yeah.
It's Watergate, except you're hiring guys to bash Paul George's knees up so he's out for the year so that you can tank.
Oh, well, that's a Kerrigan, Galooly, Tanya Harding.
Yeah, it's a Galooly situation.
Yeah, Galooly
you hire a couple Galoolis.
Yeah.
And you injure all your players, and you recoup the money in insurance. I'm not suggesting they do this. This would be a horrible thing to do. I'm saying in a movie type of thing, Watergate for the Sixers, they hired the people to do it.
CJ, do you have a favorite movie of the year before we go?
I was just looking, and it looks like my highest rating was We Live in Time.
I didn't see that. Who's in that?
It was the Florence Pugh, Andrew Garfield rom-com that came out a few months ago.
I like Florence Pugh.
Is it
really
calm?
It may not be classified as a rom-com fully, but there is some humor in it. But overall, very sad.
More dark rom than com.
Yeah, more like life experience as a whole. It was good.
I started a letterbox because I always post when I've seen a movie on Twitter, and it's just hard to keep up. I always forget to do it. I'm trying my best with my letterbox. I'm trying my best.
I don't look at it as like a broader social media to use, but more so like a log, just to keep track of what you've seen.
What you've seen, yeah. All right.
Well,
We'll talk to you next time. Maybe get to 5 wins or 6 wins by next time.
Can you imagine?
Oh, my God.
Half dozen?
Oh.
We'll figure that out.
All right. Get well, Joel Embiid's knee. Are you down with TTP?
Yeah. Lake face.